Dobar dan još jednom. Pratite uživo konferenciju o animaciji.
Good day once more. You are following the conference on animation, comics, and game art, organized together with the Arts Academy of the Novi Sad, the Ministry of Culture, and the French Institute. Now we're going to attend the Game Art panel. Game Art panel will be moderated by Vukašin Šoć, visual artist and the designer at the Art Academy of Novi Sad. We have our friends from Czech Republic, Relja from Serbian Gamer Association, Gofan, and Alexander from Stick and Rope Studios, Serbia. We will see each other again after the panel on game art, and I wish you a successful panel.
Hi everyone, nice to see you here once again. This is our second panel, and first I would like to thank you all for being here, and for I would like to take this opportunity to firstly say hi to my friends and colleagues. As we all know, the gaming networking and the networking in gaming business is really important, and there's a little chance that some of you don't know each other already. So I would like to ask you to introduce yourselves and tell us something about you and your team and your field of work. As we all know, gaming industry has, as I like to say, a rich history of backgrounds. So it's always nice to hear each story regarding your entrance in the industry. So firstly, Sanja and Dusan, tell us something about your first steps.
Hi everyone, it's nice to see you. I think I see only one person I don't know here. So hi Alexander, hi everyone. My name is Sanja Čežek, and I am a co-founder of FuchsDuck Studio, where I mainly work as a game director, helping other indie games or indie gaming studios develop their game from literally an idea to publishing. I also help create investment pitch because I have a very strong background in marketing and advertising. And this is something I have experience in. We both have experience in pitching our own game and similar things. But also I am currently developing my own indie title with my colleague that is actually a narrator designer. So yeah, that would be in short about me, and I'm leaving the stage to Dusan.
Yeah, Sanja covered almost everything. Basically, after we published Ministry of Broadcast, it kind of opened a lot of doors for us. So we decided to kind of, in order to cover more field in the gaming industry and like grow faster, we decided to split in between like two studios. So now I have my own studio called Place of Departure, and we're developing our own AA titles. It's much bigger studio and much bigger adventure than the Ministry was. So it's like another. It's actually scary adventure at the at the moment, but it's like really exciting to get it off the ground.
Awesome, thank you so much for sharing. Hi Relja, can you please introduce yourself and tell us something about your entrance into the industry?
Hello, thank you very much for the invitation to take part, and it is great to see also Sanja and Dusan. We met at a conference earlier this year that the SGA was organizing in Belgrade. So I'm representing here the Serbian Games Association, which is the let's say the representative association of the gaming industry in Serbia, game development industry. So we are an organization dedicated to developing the entire ecosystem related to the gaming industry in our country, and also to kind of work on our international position, first of all within Europe, but also beyond. We have over 100 members in terms of teams and companies working on different aspects of game development in Serbia. And what we are doing is trying to build their capacities, but also to kind of support the wider community, to also work with universities to help the education sector follow the development of this industry, and lots of things related to all this. Just in short, on a personal side, I'm actually not coming originally from the gaming industry, and in a way, I would say I'm in a peculiar position that I am in an so-called ecosystem organization. So I don't work in a company or a studio. I never worked on basically producing any games or products from the gaming industry. But I have a background in working with extensively with creative industries, digital arts, design, and music as well. So I'm kind of finding my nice place for myself in this very multidisciplinary field.
Awesome. Thank you really so much. Alexander, let's not pretend that we don't know each other. Let's just introduce your position and your entrance to the creative field of video game design. As I remember, I know that you are not originally coming from the gaming industry, but you really took a big bite with your project, and this is something that we do not see often in this industry. So tell us about your first big steps in gaming.
Hello everyone, as Lukashin already said, I'm Alexander, and yeah. Well, I started working in the creative industry as a photographer, and as I studied the development, I always wanted to jump into the gaming, and the first steps was the Stick and Rope, which eventually became an outsourced company. And in this path, I met Dusan and Sanya and Dusan, sorry, and everyone else by step by step. And the last step, the big opportunity that we had, like, it was when we jumped into the blockchain industry and we got in investment. So this is how Vasiona was founded. And now we are working on AA shooter multiplayer game, which is a really big bite, as Dusan similarly have. And yeah, this is how Lukashin and I work together. And it's a great journey, actually. It's big opportunity and a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Alexander. Mr. Xiong, can you please tell us a bit about yourself and introduce us to your big steps and entrance to the industry?
Hello, my name is Kofan Xiong. I'm a PhD student. Actually, I can not say that I'm actually in the industry because I'm more a digital artist. I actually, my research is concerned about how digital artists develop artistic project and expression using transforming existing gameplay and format. For example, how to use the video game's nature to transform the exposition place into playground to invite the visitor to participate. Actually, it's how do you say that? I have a looking of more about how to treat the game culture, how to transform them into a digital art or interactive art. But as we was invited for this panel, I will try to share my knowledge about the Chinese game industry, and I will talk about independent studio in China, how they try to reach or produce a standalone AAA games. That is very strange or difficult in the environment of Chinese game industry today. So it's more like a share. I saw all of you, most of you come from the industry, so it can be very interesting for me to see what's of the perspective inside of industry, because for the perspective of the artist is not how to make a game to sell. Of course, for us, it's how to create expression, how to communicate with the general public about the looks on the medium, and how we can use the gameplays, visuals, the cultures of video games as a material for art creation. I hope I share the idea what I mean, actually.
Okay, thank you. Well, when I say the industry, I also mean the fields of visual arts and design and interactive arts, new media. As we all know, new technologies have left no field untouched, and the arts are no exception. So art institutions embrace increasingly new media for the display, promotion, conservation of their collections, and aiming to create a unique experience for their visitors. And also artists engage with social media as like a cultural branding intensifies in the digital age, while experimenting with new media gives like rise to the art forms that push the boundaries of contemporary art and other museum collections. So the question is, new technologies are also like kind of blurred the lines between like virtual and real experience. So what's your individual take on this situation? Where is the creativity now, like with upcoming AI rises and stuff like that? So I'm gonna ask Sanya and Dusan as a team how the new technologies like impacted their fields of work, creative work.
Well, to be honest, it's a very good question, because I think it's a question we are all asking ourselves either while working or taking a bath, because it's very scary at the same time, but it also gives us other opportunities maybe to save time on AI, gives us, you know, opportunity to save time on something else, right? To me personally, I'm recently kind of ignoring this, and I always, when we create our games, but right now I'm talking in like because we detached from creating the same game, like running the same game together. So what I always do, I go back to history of art. Like every game I work on, it starts from the history of art. It starts from certain research. It starts from all the way back, you know. And we always try to mix it with the help of AI and with the help of the future technologies, and you know, implement something that is futuristic or new. And this is how mostly like Fuchsdax was always about, like creating games that goes into galleries. And we were lucky enough to be invited by Cartier Gallery in Paris to talk about our game art, only our game art.
Yeah,
and exhibit there. So we were also part of Italian exhibitions, and specifically for like creative direction, and how we got to our like creative directions and everything. So I do think that AI is amazing in the terms of helping us create like assets faster. It could help. On the other side, the dangers of it might be eliminating this little joy of creating every asset on your own, because there's joy, at least I find joy in that. moment, and I think it's gonna probably push more traditional art and more like hand-drawn, let's say traditionally drawn games into being more valuable. This is what I think where it's gonna get us, and this is why I'm kind of sticking to, you know, keeping only one of my toes in the AI, in the terms just following up with this technology.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just gonna be short because Sanya again covered a lot of things. But what we believe is that this is just another tool and another tool and another tool. There's like you know, when I started studying, Photoshop was something to be afraid of because Photoshop will take all your work, and now AI will take our work. So it's always like this evolution of the technology, which is basically for us to utilize and try to figure it out a way how to use it the best. And creative usages of those tools was something that people really adored and loved. This is actually our opinion. And like Sanya said, like we always tried to build our games to be arty and to be more into the gallery stuff, because we are both from art background and we started as illustrators and stuff. So it's always really important to talk two languages, like narrative gameplay and art style and visual style to fit together and to work together. And this is something that will never change. You cannot write, you know, you need to know how to write and how to brief the AI to like create visuals. And then there's also a certain meme where there's like, oh, you know, like AI is taking job of illustrator, and there's like they're shaking hands, like agreeing on the terms, and there's like 20 fingers and stuff, because that's how AI created the picture. And this is something that, you know, that basically we just need to evolve together with it and try to find the best usage of it. And I don't think that it's gonna ruin anything, because nothing changed through history of art, and there's always the uniqueness, the creative approach. Doesn't matter what you're doing, but this kind of you know, the best usage of the tools you have at a certain moment of time is something that pushes you forward, and we believe that it's just another tool.
Awesome, thank you guys. So Relia, as you said, you are like watching this happen like from another perspective and angle, and as someone who is involved with SGA and watching new projects and new stuff appearing all the time, do you think that technology has also given more people like access to this art form and giving enthusiasts like platforms to build their stuff? How would you describe the fast rise in this couple of years from the perspective of SGA?
Okay, well, technology is at the basis of this industry and of this medium to start with. It wouldn't be even possible without the different developments in you know, modern technology, like if we talk about digital technology, personal computers, and so on. At the same time, technology itself is a very wide notion. So, you know, we can talk about software, hardware, artificial intelligence, all these different kinds of approaches, big data, and so on. And definitely different aspects of technology are impacting the industry and the way you create games today in a different way. We could talk about, for example, mobile games and big data, monetization, analytics, things that are very, let's say, technical and related to coders and developers. Very often nowadays, the games that are produced for mobile platforms are also heavily relying on inputs that are coming from technology and from, you know, data analytics. So that is one way to look at it. Another way is to think about tools, you know, development of tools, of engines, of different software and hardware that the artists and game creators are using. So this is definitely speeding up the process, making games, let's say, visually more compelling and of a higher quality. And this also is always, you cannot disconnect it from the developments in hardware technology like graphic cards and processors and consoles and things like this. And maybe eventually to reflect on the AI aspect, which is very, let's say, in the focus recently, also for good reasons. I'm already seeing that these kind of machine learning approaches are used in different aspects, some of which that I mentioned already. But if we talk about creativity and will it kind of, you know, jeopardize the artistic approach and so on, I think this should not be the case or the problem, as long as people, the creators, have a healthy, let's say, relationship to the technology. So I wouldn't go into the discussion like can an AI system maybe change or make an artist or a human creator obsolete. Ultimately, probably yes, because it is also the human creator or creative person that is writing all these algorithms and basically developing all these AI tools. And we already know that in some other applications like you know, DeepMind experiments or with chess or things like this, of course AI systems are able to go far beyond the original input that they've received. But I would say that for a certain number of years to come, we are going to see a lot of different combinations of using tools and methodologies that combine, you know, maybe a bit of AI with this, with that, and so on. So I don't expect that we are going in the direction of like you press a button and you get, you know, complete assets for a game, or you create your main characters in this way, or something like that. You know, maybe later down the line, if things go really bad in general with our civilization, but I think up to that point, it will be a kind of a patchwork of different tools, different technologies that people will be able to, you know, combine, because the new engines and platforms are also built in a pretty open way, like Unreal Engine for sure. And this is, I think, definitely democratizing the whole process, and also kind of widening the scope and the number of people that will, you know, get involved, try things out, and so on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rada. I really appreciate your take on this. Alexander, you know the drill. Just give us your take of like you are firstly, as you said, a photographer, and you spent a lot of time like framing and regarding the world around you as an art form, right? So when you stepped into the gaming industry and started to produce and create interactive art, you know, like the realism that requires participatory entertainment, like something that needs an active participant. What has changed, and how do you see this new technologies like impacting the fields of visual arts in general, not just gaming, but photography, graphic design, and everything that you have touched in your business span?
Well, as already mentioned, I'm the AI, for like instance, is I see it as a tool, and yeah, I think it just can't like at this moment it cannot understand the concept. It cannot understand like stories, like how it can play with themes like love or death or some like these emotions. So basically, if we get to this point where AI can really create art conceptually, then we have like really world problem, not with art. Then it can let's say work as a leaders or as then human is obsolete, not just an artist. Like art is one of the most complex things to do. So basically, if it can do art, it can do anything. So yeah, I think we are far from that. As a tool, it can be interesting. I'm not sure where it will get us, but yeah, another thing to say, like in gaming, like gaming had like it came too late. It came in the industry where the business were already in numbers, like marketing was already the thing. So basically in things of from the perspective of art, is this capable of doing anything that any other art form, but I'm not sure that we already like that we used all its potential at this moment. So yeah,
Conclusion is like if the world ends, we'll have cool AI games to play, right? As the world burns, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Shong, you said already that you are not in the gaming industry, but
Yes,
you are covering the interactive form, interactive art form. So tell us something about your perspective
on the AI generated art. I tried a stable diffusion, the project created by Google. Actually, you can see that for now, if you want to create art, actually it's only you can create that artist already in their database. It's actually recreates the art already, the style of the art already existed. It's not capable of creating something new. Actually, it just recreates the style already exists. So for the human part, it's actually the artist. If you have your proper style, and we have more freedom to create what we want, actually, because the AI is doing something more like a repetitive work. For example, in the example, I want to talk about the Chinese studio who trying to make a AAA game. The one of the most big problem they run into is they don't have a tool set for creating a complicated environment. They need the environment artist to do every work, put every trees in every corner. That is not possible for a team like less than 100 person. So they need the AI tool. Actually, they said that the best example is Ubisoft. They have very good database and the AI tools to helping the environment artist to create the complex environment like populated city, rainforest. So for the environment artists, it's like they can put the time to think about what they want to do in general, and just correcting the faults and the errors and the details, and that will much more help them to produce their game more quickly. So for this reason, for me, all these new technologies, tools, I was actually working with animators, because in our research group, we also do motion capture for theater animation. But certain traditional animators think that the motion capture actually take away their works, but it's not exactly true, because all the animation we capture from motion capture is not very smooth or simple. There are a lot of errors. You need the animator to do the works to make it more smooth, more interesting for animation. Also, the animation often we see is not always reflect in reality. Sometimes can be more exaggerated. So that part is, I think for now, all the AI tools, it's just for simplified the work or reduce the money we need for the work. So this is my point of view.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Basically, we can say that new technologies will only help, but the rise of technical aspects will help maintain our creativity. And we are safe to say that creativity is the will be remaining like the only human thing that we can cherish and hold. So that's the good stuff. You mentioned Ubisoft, and that's really great, as we'll talk about the industry and the cooperation between the developers and the various creative fields. So we can continue with you, Mr. Xiong. What is the current situation in your country in terms of like industry and business, and how do you see the cooperation between maybe the Francophone countries and the rest of the Europe, and maybe even like Serbia? What would you suggest and tell us about?
The game industry in China is quite strange, because we have very a special situation. So for us, like in 90s, when game industry began to show up in China, but at that moment there are so many how to say that, private products, because nobody have enough money to buy industry. So developer of games cannot live in that situation. And then the how to say that, the money environment, it's much better in 2000. But at that time, console it's banned in China. So the standalone game never really happened in China. Actually, you don't have the place to grow up. And then we began to have the online games. So, for example, Tencent, it's the biggest game country, biggest game company in the world. But nobody ever heard any games that produced by them, because what they want is, they never create new games. Actually, what they do is that they see a game works good in the market, and they go inside and buy the game, because they have a lot of money and a lot of power too. So and then so in China, the game more produced towards the direction of online games, and then it began some mobile games. The mobile games age is very special, because at that time most of the AAA companies, the big game companies, doesn't really interest in mobile games. That left the place for Chinese mobile industry to grow, because most of the even the biggest company, when they want to do something in mobile games, they just ask a Chinese group to development team to do that. For example, the Diablo, the Blizzard's Diablo mobile game is actually made by a Chinese team. So for this environment, that it prepared for the industry to grow, because if you want a game industry, you need have the market, you have the financement, the technical people who have experience in it, and also you need have the engines. For today, you guys talk a lot about Unreal. because at that moment it's Unity. So most of the mobile games in China actually developed in Unity. And then the Unity is prepared for the developers to know how to work in game engine. And 2014, actually, for example, in Steam, in 2015, there are only 10 Chinese games titles in Steam. But in 2020, there are more than 700. It is because in 2017, Steam opens the Chinese region. And also, at that moment, the generalized education and resources for engines like Unity, like Unreal, or Godot. So all these things shape the industry today. And also because of all the companies, the big game company in China, they are not really creative companies. They are more like internet companies who interested more in monies. They invest something and they get money back very quick. So for a standalone games, they are not really interested. But recently, they become otherwise. It is because from 2015 and 2020, the sales of the the sales of the standalone games in Steam in China is grows 26 times. So that means they pushed the game companies to go towards the standalone games. This is the first thing. The other thing is about the technique. Because in China, there are so many mobile games. If you see, if you open your Apple Store or Google Store, there are a lot of games created by Chinese companies. Actually, if you want to win, the creator mobile games, that's actually game money. You have to have prepared in technique. So all these companies began to have research on game engines, on gameplay in 5G, sorry, in clouds, all this kind of thing. And for Tencent, he brought a lot of foreign game companies too. Actually, Tencent own a part of Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
And what they can do as a big company is like, for example, today I'd love to talk about the independent company. It's called Game Science, right? They're trying to produce a AAA game in China in an environment not welcome for them at all. But the players want that because AAA normally means there's a very stable and strong game industry inside of the country. So the supporter of the gamers actually changed the point of view of the direction of the big company like Tencent. So Tencent trying to have the investigation into the small game studio. For exchange, the game studio, if they accept their investigation, Tencent will give them support. For example, the company originally created their game in Unreal 4, right? Since the game trailer become explosive, actually that attracted attention. So they changed their game, moved the game into Unreal 5, even before Unreal 5 released. Because if you know, Tencent have 5% of Epic, own 5% of Epic. So Tencent began to use the technique as a condition, as exchange for game studio. So if you accept their money, they will help you for the technique. So today in China, all the big companies actually have their own specialties in certain field. For example, recent years, there's a Chinese mobile game is very famous too. It's called Genshin Impact, right? Genshin Impact. And actually, it's a game very special because you can imagine it's a 700 team for a mobile game. So it's used manpower and technology for AAA game to make a mobile game. It's actually the reverse sense of the company I'd love to talk about today. But it actually shows what's the most interesting things for all those game companies in China for the industry. They think that most important thing you should create something that technically different from other companies. You need to know something other people doesn't know, or product something other company doesn't have. So you can protect yourself for the very strong and crude competition in the game industry in China. But it's very special, for example. And the other thing is like for international cooperation, because Chinese company doesn't really have a good reputation in general, but Tencent actually separates the company into two. One for investigation for the foreign countries. Normally, it's buying some potential project that will be strong, as then would permit them to get money. And the other one is inside of China to reproduce the already established gameplay or form of play. And the other part is they began to trying to create their own systems, own engines. For example, Genshin, the HoYoverse, the company created Genshin Impact. They trying to create engines belong to them based on Unity. They actually brought the Unity 2017 completely, so they can modify and to apart from the Unity to do something completely for them. I hope I talked about the situation in Chinese company, because for the cooperation part, I'm not really a specialist of it, but as I see, most of the time, the cooperation from the financial support and technical support exchange between companies, especially when your project is attract the interest of a big company. This is why in China it's very popular to promote your project in social media. Since it is in a social media, it attracts a lot of players' attention. The big company will try to buy the potential project, and then you will have the technical support and the finance support. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. This was really good to hear. Sanya and Dushan, the same question goes for you too, as I remember you knocked on a lot of doors when you first published and tried to publish your hit game. So I would really appreciate if you could share with us your take on the cooperation between the industry and the small developers or people who would just would like to have their foot in the door, as we like to say. So what was your experience in that part of the process?
Well, our experience it's I cannot say that it's a common one, because it kind of even surprised us how things developed for our game and after the game was published. But anyhow, it's like we were hearing those stories, like it's already mentioned, like you need to have a huge amount of followers on social media, you need to have tons of wish list on Steam and stuff in order to get any funds and stuff. So and the gaming industry is so scary, it's gonna eat you up and stuff. And we went through all those stories, and we were like, okay, bring it on, like we're gonna be prepared for all these things. But none of those things really happened to us. We kind of had a really smooth ride, and we kind of encountered really sweet and pleasant community, and Twitter was amazing. And after the game was published, we also and before and after, we also met a lot of really nice people and supporting people and cooperative people. So it was actually really different for us. Like we started with basically our journey really started when we got the award for the best gameplay at Brno conference, and then after that it was just like one after another.
Yeah, and to be honest, we totally underestimated Brno conference. When we were going there, we were like, oh, you know, it's some small, unimportant conference. Turns out it's a very important conference because very important people came there, like John Romero, the main concept artist on The Witcher 3 was in the voting. John Romero and his wife came there, and the conferences were amazing. There was also like the head of environment design,
the creative director of God of War.
Of God of War, yes, from
Stevens,
Santa Monica Studios, Nate Stevens, who actually talked to us about game development and everything, like totally normally. And that's where we won our award, and we went home like four surprised people. And after that, Czech Invest started contacting us how they got us a booth at the Tokyo Game Show, which is quite expensive. If you know how expensive it is to get the booth in the last hall, it's around, I think, 8,000 euros to have a booth. We had.
Yeah.
I think they are cheaper, but we had this one. And we were there, and we were visited by the Czech ambassador in Tokyo. We had all this support, and we were still like the guys who were working on our game were two developers from Brno. They were Czech, and two of us we were Serbian. So we were surprised that they gave us so much support, and we were surprised that actually, you know, we thought it's a trap. Like literally, it went so smooth that we thought it's a trap. So thanks to Czech Invest, who at the time did not have a budget for games. They had budget for like new projects and like new arty projects. So they just saw we won, heard somehow about us, and they pushed us, and that's where we signed a publisher in the Tokyo. And after a year, we were in the first booth next to Cyberpunk. So we saw Keanu Reeves, like all the girls running after him and everything, and we were like next to them. So we really couldn't believe it ourselves. What I could say about Czech Republic and the gaming investment and the supports, it's still not there. But I think what is important to say is that a lot of people who are not developing games themselves are trying so hard to make it work that we have a budget, like that the Film Institute, like the Danish Film Institute, the French Film Institute, that they give the money specifically to gaming industry and invest. And there's a couple of people like Miroslav Žak from the Czech Gaming Archives. He is trying really hard to like go into the educational system to educate. You know, FAMU just opened an amazing game design masterclass as a year, like whole year of studies, and then the PhD. They opened up a PhD in the game design, and they brought professors from all around the world that actually worked in Xbox and everywhere. So they're moving very slow because Czechs still don't recognize gaming industry as being something like, especially indie gaming industry being something good. They still want to support the big AAA companies and AA studios. So it's, you know, piece by piece, I think we will get there, but there are a lot of people working on it, and we are trying to also be part of this ecosystem here to give every kind of free like lesson on what we had as our experience. So it's a very connected community, I could say. Like recently we were at a launch for this game that was also with us on the Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah, I forgot the name.
The Last Hero was the
yeah, but it's they renamed Okru, yeah.
Something or Orkru, and you know, the game is a very like they said like, nah, you know, it's okay. But so many people came there. So many people came to the launch party to support. they asked openly, how did you get the money? He was saying openly, how did he get the money? So I think if we keep this ecosystem open and you know, like also Serbian Game Association does, like they keep inviting, they keep creating like workshops. I follow them, connecting and pushing smaller players and bigger players, you know, in the same amount. I think it's gonna work really marvelously. So
yeah, I just there's like it's already mentioned, like AI creates something that it's already created, and of course there are majority of companies which are doing the same. It's just like there is a Limbo and there's 200 Limbo like games to make money, and a majority of companies which are investing are drawn to this box because you know, nobody wants to be the first mouse. Everyone wants to jump on the boat and earn fast. But there are also companies which are investing in the future, thinking about creativity, thinking about something that they can really invest in and create something on the long terms. And nobody should be afraid to do something new. And I think because now we can connect like the first and the second topic of business and AI, in the sense like this is something that is giving you advantage over everyone else, is that to try to create something different, at least a little bit different, you know, like basis of something that we already know, but change something, create some new USP, and that happened basically to us, and that's how the all the business rules, all the rules that you need to play with are kind of washed away, and you're standing there, you know, with different set of rules because you don't fit into the boxes. And the moment you find someone who trusts in you, that you only need one. Like we're always saying to everyone, like Peter Jackson was, you know, every single production company rejected Lord of the Rings, but he needed only one. And so when he found that one, which basically New Line Cinema, which kind of supported him and pushed him, that's how he got Lord of the Rings, and that's it. If you believe in it, you just need one person to stand behind you, and that's enough.
I would just like to say that, like, I use very often the example, and I would like to use it now. Maybe it will be useful for someone. I work very closely to the Danish Film Institute, and we develop games. We develop Danish games. And they have a really interesting way they approach the problem of the indie industry and how to know someone is not just like taking money out of you and then declares bankrupt and there's no game in the end. They solved it in a very interesting way that you have like small infusions of money coming your way as a developer, as an indie developer. And then when they have like a doubt, that they see you're stuck somewhere, you know, of course they hire the professional game designers to analyze the product that you're giving to them after you have been financed. But when they have a doubt, you know, they also tell you like, you know, okay, I'm gonna now not give you 20,000 euros, I'm gonna give you 5,000 euros. Do this one mechanic and prove me wrong, you know, let me know it works. So they give you like, you tell them like how much money you need for this one mechanic to make it work, and they literally tell you, we don't care about art, we just care about the mechanic. So they have a highly skilled guy from the production. He developed games, he developed games, he worked on games, and they have him in the team that gives the money. So he analyzes the game and the production. And I think if these things and the people are set in the right place, the right people set in right place, it works. And so far we have, I have 2 games from Danish Film Institute that keep getting like infusions, and no one is stressed out because we have like small milestones, small infusions, and then you're gonna publish a big game, you know, bigger indie game. So it's a very pleasant work because there's no like you get a huge amount of money and then you go bankrupt, and then of course the Danish Institute gets nothing. So they solve this in a very nice, like little by little way, which I'm trying now to like share with the Czech market and the Czech like way game association, like to you know have the film institute have the same system as Danish, because I think that's a very smart solution for smaller,
especially for smaller
definitely for smaller indie games developers.
Awesome, thank you so much. And I would like to say that those baby steps are like safe steps, and that's really interesting to have that perspective, because we heard Mr. Shong speaking about large amounts of people and money, so it's good to have both sides and to measure the pros and cons of each, as I'm sure that there are. And I would like to ask Relja about his point of view. Of course, we have Ubisoft, like a large French company that opened up the studio in Serbia. But do we have some more potential to attract like the Francophone countries, and what's the how big is the potential for the cooperation between the countries and the industries? Is Serbia like a fertile ground for that?
Well, I would say yes, for sure, definitely. There is only the thing that from our perspective, from the inside, so to say, of course, we are aware of the development in the industry, in the community, and the big, basically, expansion over the last couple of years. Also spearheaded by some of the larger companies that are part of the SGA, that also took part in the very founding of the association. And then on the other hand, we need to be aware that Serbia is still a very, that the industry in Serbia is still relatively young. It's, I don't know, between 10 and 15 years old. Maybe there were some, let's say, demo scene kind of stuff happening before. But on some professional level, we are talking about 10 plus years, whereas globally we are talking about around 50 years. And the association, for example, in Serbia, SGA is basically celebrating next year 5 years. UKI, one of the associations in Great Britain, exists for 30 years now. So it's kind of just good to be aware also of the, let's say, the big gap, and also the opportunities and the potentials that we have. If we talk about specifically France, for example, with the SGA, we already are realizing a project for 2 years in a row with the participation of both French Institute in Serbia and the Goethe Institute in Serbia. The project is called Playing Narratives. So it is a Serbian-French-German collaboration. Just in short, we are enrolling 20 to 30 young creatives into an 8-month-long mentorship program within which they make their first, let's say, steps in collaborative work on concepts for new games. The only thing we don't do is the actual development of any prototypes, but basically they attend a number of lectures and workshops and mentoring sessions, and in the end pitch their concepts that they developed within teams, multidisciplinary teams, to an international jury. And through this, we already had a chance to kind of interact with a lot of professionals and experts from the French and the German industry, to connect with some of the hubs in those countries. So personally, I have a background in, let's say, international relations within the cultural field and creative industries field. And I was always a strong believer that this brings a lot of potential, and that it is necessary to kind of in parallel develop your internal, capacities, what is going on in the education sector, in different, let's say, aspects of the infrastructure, but that at the same time you need to build international bridges. So that is on one hand important for the let's say education, creative development part, and of course from the industry angle, it is very important because of the economic industry market reasons. And just to maybe round up briefly, we've seen some major acquisitions over the last couple of years, if we are talking about Serbian gaming companies. So our industry is, in a way, as much as it is really Serbian, it's also already very international, because some of the local companies are owned by larger groups, companies coming from Sweden, USA, Russia, European countries. So we already have a lot of diversity there, and the main good thing in all this is that most of the Serbian companies were acquired because of their also intellectual property, and because of the quality of the people working in those companies. So these are not outsourcing projects where companies in Serbia are just delivering stuff for other head offices in other countries, but actually the entire projects are being produced within the local companies. And I think this is something that Serbia should basically look out for in all of our work. We are really paying attention to this. And I think this is also kind of a competitive advantage maybe towards some other young ecosystems when we speak about game development. So people here are definitely very motivated, very diverse, very wide in their scope of creative interests. No matter if we are talking about artists or game designers or narrative designers, creative writers, or marketing strategies, whatever. So I think this is kind of what will become the peculiar thing about game development in Serbia.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well, it's great to hear your point of view. I'm just gonna jump back to Playing Narratives program and tell you that a couple of my students are enrolled, and they have nothing but good words for the program. So it's always nice to hear that there's like a cooperation for young people, for people who didn't even enter the industry just yet. And as I try to tell them, while they are in their benches creating small prototypes or writing stuff, and maybe reading some boring stuff to say, something that's not AAA, that's not like jumping and animating, that their entire professional life will be put on one page of paper, one PDF, and that part is they're like visiting exhibitions and visiting like game shows and other institutions and other like extracurricular stuff that's beyond school, and that's their way to pave in and to reach out, to be heard, to include their portfolio, to expand their work. And also I already had started a couple of years ago when I started working at the Academy of Arts, my own faculty. I vowed to bring in the professionals and the creatives, and I was lucky to go to school with Sanya, and we were friends for a long time, and when I heard of their success, I contacted them, and they were kind enough to share their story a couple of times. And I'm gonna call you guys again, of course, because every year we have like 15 or 14 new students who are eager to learn, to expand. And there's something about the gaming industry that's really interesting, and that is that people who enroll in the studies are already eager to enter the industry right away, already to start to work, to have their work checked on, and that's really great because everyone is doing what they love. And we as educators and people in industry, we need to support that talent and that like eagerness to approach. So we've heard like a couple of perspectives from different countries, from Czechia, from Czech Republic, and China, and here in Serbia. But we didn't hear Alexander's point of view, and it's gonna be fun because he's new in the field. The game is looking great. It's coming along nicely. But Alexander, you have like a small team or medium-sized team. Everything is fresh and new. What is your take on all those other countries coming here and acquiring studios and trying to approach various creative fields, especially gaming, because we now have like Russia owning Playrix. We have a Swedish company that owns that acquired Madhead Games. Is this something that you're looking upon, frowned upon, or is it something you would like to be involved at some point?
Well, it definitely depends on the culture of the company that's acquiring something. I think it's good opportunity to have variety of companies here, no matter the way they come. If somebody's selling the company and he sees it's okay, I think it can be a great opportunity. It's not everything about owning stuff. It's something that we have in mind, but sometimes this can be a good opportunity. And it's good because we collectively created the know-how. Currently, the world is obviously globalized, but in some sense, it's not enough. Like when you need experts that are right away, or if you need the rating as a company that can create and can create great, awesome games, you need these experts to come or to learn by mentoring of bigger company, because behind every big game there is a big system, big company, and this system can be like really bad or can be really good organized. And yeah, this know-how is something that we already acquired in Serbia in web applications, in outsourcing, in Hopa games, or some other like mobile games. But in big, like as we are creating third-person multiplayer shooter, and we are creating in Unity HDRP render, like we have a bunch of questions that we just like we need to, it would really help us to have some people, experts in this field in our neighbors. And if you see like Unreal, because we already have Freelateral, we have Scorn or big projects, yeah, there is know-how how to do something and who to ask, and it really helps because people in Serbia and SGI helps this, like bring the community, gaming community in general, not just in Serbia, but I had the chance to meet people from here mostly. They're really open to help, to give all the answers on your questions, even talk numbers, which is really strange, but it's really helpful. So on the questions, is it good that big companies come here? It depends on the culture of the company. It depends on should this company like share their know-how to our company. If this is not the case, yeah, we would have just like we would become just outsourcing power. But on other cases, if we share the knowledge, it's a good opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alexander. Mr. Shang already presented a couple of companies and good examples for successful practice in creative fields. But as video game design it's an ever-growing field, and along with the changes in the industry, in the fields of technology and all that, the good stuff. What is the education situation? Are there any new faculties or programs that offer game design specifically in your country?
Okay, I think I will continue with the things about big company open studio in your country, because actually it's helped a lot of development of the game industry in China. For example, Ubisoft have big studios in China. The games company, the Japanese game company like Bandicoot or Konami also have big studios in China. All these kind of things, because all these AAA games, normally they will produce in different studios of the world. Sometimes they put a part of in China, and sometimes they even have maybe certain animation, certain actions they give to other companies to do it. So all these kind of things actually trained a lot of how do you say that, professionals who already know how a bigger project works, and all these people become the how do you say, human sources that know the technology and know how. All these kind of things push actually the education in China for generalized in all the big university schools, and people can directly for these days. It's not like you have to learn from internet or trying to find books from foreign countries. You have everybody, every field have some specialists can teach you in certain way. And also at the same time, the development of video game industry are not just have positive effects on game design, but also on animation, actually. Because recently, there are a lot of animation made by Unreal in China and become very popular because Unreal gives you a real-time rendering. So they have a much cheaper production, and all this all these things create, how you said, an ecosystem between game industry, animation industry, and also the what we say like placings, products, and mangas. So it's all these things make together helps the production of this industry. So I think it's a great idea that you have the big companies installed in your country, because it's a beginning actually. In other cases, for independent studio or for the bigger studio, big project, you always need people know-how. So that can reduce enormous time for your own company, for your own project to grow. And the other things like actually the other thing is like for the financement, the company I love to talk about, it's the Chinese independent studio trying to do AAA. They actually meet a lot of problems in financially too, because they cannot find somebody to support them. So what they do is they create small games to support them, keep their company alive, so they can do a bigger project. And for the educational part, it is for this kind of people who have experience to generate everything in school. And also nowadays learning on internet is very popular in China. So you have no need to go to a school or university specific. You can just find the part of the technique or idea you want to know and just learn it from internet. So this is what I want to share with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sanya and Dushan, I think I've never asked you guys about the faculties in Prague and we never actually talked about education system regarding video game design and game art in your country. So do you have any news regarding that point?
Well, as I mentioned, like recently, FAMU, which is a faculty, the most influential faculty of new media. You have UMPROM, which is the biggest art university. Then you have the Film Institute, which is like a university for the film, which is very strong. It's where Kusturica finished. Our famous director, Serbian director, finished his, and a lot more others, not just him. And then you have FAMU, but FAMU is recently taking like, it's peaking because they completely changed. It's actually what I found out recently about that, like that they completely changed the structure of the university. So they started bringing in people from outside of the Czech Republic, because they realized that they cannot rely only on people who, we have a huge Microsoft company in the Czech Republic. So the whole faculty was filled with professors that work in Microsoft. And then everything was kind of Microsoft based, outsourced. And then they learned, they dropped a couple of like generations of people going to work at Microsoft again. Like that's the only thing they know. So they changed now, and this made me happy. But in my opinion, I think we have the car industry for the past 8 years, for the past 100 years. Every industry except educational has changed, and has changed drastically. Like if you look at the car industry, it has changed. If you look at machine washing industry, anything like White Techniques. If you look at the IT, it has changed. The school system is still based on sitting there for like a couple of hours, listening to someone, yada. Every year, the same person for other generations. So my ideal would be that you have one curator of the course, and then you have people who come in and go, and then every generation is very diverse, because also the gaming changes very fast. And now I'm talking about gaming, and I think it's totally unsustainable to have the same professors in the same cathedral, like every year, because then you're gonna be, I'm not sure if you know what I mean. Like it needs to change.
Yeah.
Yes. And you need to have like one curator, like such as you. You have, for example, a strong belief that you yourself, even though you know a lot, you're not enough to these children, like to these students. You need to bring in someone from the outside. And sometimes it was us, sometimes it was someone else, but it means so much to them, because someone else comes in and maybe he will tackle one or two people sitting there, but he will tackle them, and it will stay in their head. So I think it's the same for the universities, and this is like something I would like to see in education change, that we have like diversity in education. And I'm not really, I'm sorry, I cannot agree that the university cannot bring you anything. I think that some of the universities are staying in this old mindset that you should be sitting there for like hours and hours. But some of the universities that I see, they have already started acting just as an institute. So, you come to me, maybe you know more than I do, but I know more people than you do because I'm older than you and I have a lot of experience. So I can help you navigate that knowledge, be much faster than I am, because I'm going to connect you with these people, with this other institution. We know this, Dusan and I, because we're currently developing a very important app. It's a startup. We're currently developing a very important app in collaboration with the Oxford University in England. And Oxford University literally serves us as an archive of confirmed research. We work closely to their professors of behavior science and psychology. So they are actually acting as our, like in the games where you go to, get mana or energy, somewhere where you go and get knowledge or connections, you go there and get support. So I think universities should switch from educational to like being more, let's say, your peer or representative, like someone who's going to introduce you to a bigger player than you are, So this is my, like, at least point of view. I don't know what's Dushan's, but sorry for
it's exactly the same. It's just about like everything in the world, and everyone is talking about sustainability. So basically everything is in the balance, and that's something that the educational system here didn't recognize until a couple of years ago, and now they're trying to figure it out the way. And the only person here relevant to talk about the balance of the market and stuff is Relja, because he has valid information. So it's basically the question is like, for example, the previous question, what was like, is it good for the good companies to come? Well, it depends. You need to value the things like, do we have a potential? Like, do we have enough human power to fill those companies? Are there companies gonna invest into education of those people, or just gonna harvest their already already acquired skills? So there's a thing that I hated the most during even my university years, and that's something that, like, for example, in Serbia, every year Serbia would make 40 new directors, like directors for the theater or the movie or whatever. Yearly we were making like 20 movies, and we had 20 working theaters. Of course, one generation can feel that, and that's it, but they're not going to disappear. But every year you have another 40, another 40, another 40, and they're just piling up on the same box, and nobody thinking about the balance, whether there's an audience for it, there is like structure for it, there's enough education, mentorship of it. So basically this is exactly what the education here and in Europe and in Oxford is basically trying to do, is like through this kind of like Sanja said, like being there for you to support and to kind of channel you through, because you're not gonna end up being a lone director working in a like a restaurant or something. It's just gonna channel your exact skills to find your way into the new kind of age and prepare you for the work that you're gonna start working if we're talking about education. But like I said, all those like balance things is something that, SGA as if we're talking about the gaming, the most important thing to talk about is like Relja I mentioned in one point, is like educational systems. Is there enough educational systems installed? Are there enough companies? Are there enough people? Is there potential? So basically all those things need to come together in one pot today, because as it was, I forgot who mentioned it, but it's the same thing. Like, you have YouTube, and you're gonna end up doing what you really love. We just need to support this, because the times kind of changed, and educational system changed, and the kids changed, and AI is here. So basically we just need to kind of figured out a way how to make the balance work in the sense of sustainability in the human resources, let's say. That's my opinion.
Yeah, because like universities in the European Union, and as I said, like Oxford, for example, they work as a wheel of, you know, like some well of power, you know, where you go and get your information, you know, because they know they're older than you, for sure, they're more experienced than you, you know, at least in these countries they are, you know, there's no like this, there's no possibility you're not going to get your knowledge is not going to get checked before you start teaching there, you know, or anything. Like everything is very high, you know, like highly checked. And then what I, for example, liked about, and you can see it on the FAMU's website, like they have, if you are a game developer, creative director, game director, you already developed a game, come to our masterclass, you know, you're invited to enroll. If you don't know anything about the games and you want to take master course, come here. We have place for everyone. So they are trying to balance out like the new kids coming in and people who already are in the industry, as we were mentioning, like that you can learn everything from YouTube. I'm the generation that learned a lot from YouTube, from, you know, everywhere else. So we have knowledge, but I think we lack these like true connections. You know, I maybe personally don't that much, but like I know many people my generation, they lack some institution that would, you know, connect them, you know, something we have with the Academy of Arts they're trying to do. So this is really like really something to, I think, have in mind when it comes to new education.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you both very much. Our time runs out at 1:15, and I'm just gonna talk about a bit about good examples or good practices, as you have all mentioned. We do need to balance out both education and the entire system of new companies and industry professionals, like connecting with institutions, and that's really important in any field. In our field, it's just so much faster and like it happens so fast as the industry changes. But we do have our own good examples of companies like Trilateral connecting us with the world once again. Just like the small studios and the other specific skill sets that we have in Novi Sad, Belgrade, Serbia in general. So the point is that everyone, of course, needs to be aware of the potential that everyone holds. And basically, I'm glad that we all gathered here today to discuss really different points of view, but the same wishes for the like progress. And basically, I think we did cover most of the themes that we discussed, and I would like to have each and one of you tell some kind of closing word for the conference and for the stuff we did today. And I do not have any particular like order because the screens are shuffling and changing. But I'm gonna start with Relja and his closing line.
Yeah, I would maybe use the occasion to mention that pretty soon, in early December, your academy is organizing another event that Professor Marovic started last year, the Studies of Video Games conference. So the first academic level conference dealing with topics related to game development. I find this very encouraging personally, and also from the direction of the SGA. We feel that it is very important to also get involved and support these sort of initiatives because they are crucial, touch points within the complete ecosystem of game development. So for us, it's also important not to get lost too much in the market-related, business development-related topics, or maybe only the creative topics. There is a lot to research within gaming. And I'm not mentioning this just to announce it, to also say that the SGA will be bringing together all of the representatives of different educational institutions that are active in Serbia and that either have one course or an entire department or an entire study program dedicated to game development or game art or game design. No matter if they are state-run universities or private universities or maybe more informal commercial training centers. And our idea is really to take the position that also Sanja was mentioning, this kind of connection between the industry and the education. And we already see that this is very much needed. We are getting that feedback from the schools, from the students who are also attending these programs. And we're also going to deal in the next period with trying to design a process of internships at the Serbian companies. So I would say that these are some of the important milestones that are coming ahead. And I feel that the well-balanced development of all these education initiatives is really crucial to bring the industry as a whole to kind of some of the next levels. So we have a big lack of people, professionals in the industry, and we also have a lack of, let's say, education schemes and study programs to support this. So this is something that we are going to focus on a lot in the coming period.
That's great to hear. Awesome. Thank you. I'm looking forward to attending the conference. Alexander, your closing statement or wishes for the future, how you like?
Well, I don't have much to add. Thank you all for your words. Yeah, I would just maybe add that faculty and the knowledge it can lead you, it can show you the steps, but the steps itself you need to make to really have the proper experience. So I would advise, yeah, just make the games and let's see. We need those games. We need everybody to go through these steps, as many people as we can, if we talk in Serbia community, about Serbian community. So yeah, I would wish more games to be made.
Awesome. Thank you, Alexander. Mr. Shong, your closing statement or words?
Yes, I just add some words because today I talk a lot about the big industry, but actually most of the project I analyze is independent project because it's all these games are more near to art, because for game industry, the independent game is like the art house film. It has more personality of the artistic personality of its creator. For video games as a culture and art medium, it's still young. There are a lot of places and possibilities need to explore both visually and in gameplay. So I end my conversation today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sanja and Dusan?
I don't have much to say. I just want to thank you for inviting us again, and I hope that next time we will have a new game to talk about, because we have titles in preparation. So MLB is kind of already for us a song sang a lot of times, but we love to, of course, share our knowledge and experience. And also, I would like to congratulate SGA, specifically Rada and your colleagues, for doing everything. We're kind of sometimes cheating on the Czech Gaming Society with you, but like association with you, but like I would really like to praise your work, because I'm following up with everything you do, and it's marvelous, and I think it's much needed. So that's all I have to say. And Shoch, thank you so much for invitation again.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we really covered a lot of important themes today, and that we are definitely all going in the right direction. We have a lot more to cover, of course, and the good thing is that now we all know each other, and the networking part needs to be like really bolded up here. So let's just stay in touch and try to keep both the education and the industry and the products all together in a mix. And I would like to thank you all for attending and sharing your experience, and would like to invite you to stick around for our next panel about comic art, so we can see how visual arts are still connected with all of these things that we talk about today. And that's gonna be it from me for now. Have a rest of the day.
Mogu li da kažem jednu, dvije rečenice?
Of course. Ciao, Kristina.
Thank you, goodbye.
Zdravo svima, divan vam je
Hello,
panel.
everybody. Your panel was great. Congratulations. You've connected the topics of education, art, and education greatly. Thank you, all the panelists, and Mr. Shoch for moderating. And we are now approaching the next break in our conference, Francophone conference. Show a short promotional film about our long-term partner that has helped us in organizing this conference, and that we have been cooperating for years in various fields and modes. Thanks to them, it is part of their Digital November 2022. It is the French Institute in Serbia. We will see a promotional film of the French Institute in Serbia. We'll make a short break and we'll come back in 1:30 to discuss comics.
Prilika za odlazak u Pariz, grad u kojem se gladovalo i sanjalo, upoznavalo i studiralo umetnost, ukazala se slikaru Bogdanu Šuputu 1937. godine. Ovaj susret bio je sudbinski za mladog umetnika. Pun utisaka, vratio se kući i rešio da po svaku cenu slikarsko usavršavanje nastavi u Parizu. Tako se već početkom naredne 1938. godine Bogdan Šuput ponovo našao u Parizu. Obilazi galerije, muzeje i počinje da slika gradske predele. Inspirisali su ga široki bulevari, krojevi višespratnica, crkve, javne monumentalne građevine. Pored mnogih znamenitosti Pariza, posebnu pažnju privukla mu je zgrada čuvene opere u koju je rado odlazio i kojem je bio opčinjen. Opčinjen njenom monumentalnošću, veličinom raskošne sale, foajeja, holova, ali i elegancijom posetilaca. Sliku opera Bogdan Šuput je zajedno sa još 2 slike poslao iz Pariza u Beograd za prolećnu izložbu u umetničkom paviljonu Cvijeta Zuzorić u Beogradu, za koje je i dobio dobre kritike. O operi piše i Pjer Križanić prilikom predstavljanja Šuputovog umetničkog stvaralaštva, gde između ostalog pominje da Šuputova Parijska opera je pod vidnim uticajem francuskih impresionista, naročito Pisaroa, i da ima izvanredne slikarske vrednosti.